All right, let's just get right into it. Today, we're going to unpack something that sounds, a little corporate and stuffy, the software development lifecycle. But I promise you, by the time we're done here, you're not going to see it as some rigid set of rules. You'll see it for what it really is, a creative map that helps you take that little spark of an idea and turn it into something real, something that actually has an impact.
I mean, let's be honest, right? We've all been there. You hear a big acronym like SDLC and your eyes just kind of glaze over. And the author of our source material, they felt the exact same way, that it just sounds overwhelming and frankly a little bit boring. But here's the secret, the thing they figured out. It's actually a seriously powerful tool for creativity.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll figure out what this thing is. Then we'll walk through the whole creative cycle, from planning to perfecting. We'll look at what happens after you launch, and then we'll wrap up with why this should matter to you, no matter if you're on a huge team or just hacking away on your own passion project.
All right, first things first, let's just strip away all that corporate jargon and get right to the heart of it. What is the SDLC really? Okay, so at its core, the SDLC is basically just a process, right? It's a structured way for teams to build and take care of software. But forget the word process. I want you to think of it like a recipe. I mean, you wouldn't just toss flour, eggs, and sugar into a bowl and hope a cake comes out, would you? The SDLC is like that recipe. It gives you the steps to make sure what you end up with is actually what you set out to create.
So, if you were to open a textbook, this is what you'd see. These 7 official phases. You've got planning, analysis, design, all the way down to deployment and maintenance. It looks super formal, like this rigid, step-by-step line, doesn't it? But here's the big idea from our source. This isn't a straight line at all. It's really more of a creative, living, breathing cycle.
Okay, let's dig into how this really works in those early stages. This is where all the magic starts, where you take those big, kind of fuzzy ideas and start hammering them into an actual concrete plan. And this is the part where it all just clicks. The source uses this analogy of building a house, and it makes so much sense. Think about it. Planning? That's you deciding, hey, I want a 3-bedroom house, and here's my budget. The analysis phase? That's like getting the detailed blueprints drawn up for every single room. And design? Well, that's the architect actually figuring out the layout and how it's all going to look. All of a sudden, these abstract words feel, real.
I absolutely love this way of thinking. Before a single line of code even gets written, the author basically becomes a detective. It's not about tech specs at this point. It's about people. It's about having those coffee chats, really listening to what's frustrating someone, and plastering a wall with sticky notes to get to the bottom of the human problem you're actually trying to solve.
And this just proves that the design phase isn't about needing some fancy, expensive software. It's all about clear thinking. The absolute core of it is just asking yourself one simple question over and over again. What is the absolute simplest way for the user to get to their goal? It doesn't matter if you're sketching on a whiteboard, a piece of paper, or even a napkin. The goal is always simplicity, not making things complicated. All right, now we're getting to the real heart of the process. This isn't some boring straight line of work. It's this awesome dynamic loop of building something, then immediately trying to break it, and then making it even better.
And this is it. This is the moment. All that planning, all that sketching, it all leads right here. It's time to roll up our sleeves and actually start building.
So the author doesn't just disappear into a dark room to code for weeks. No, they start with a really basic skeleton of the app, and then add features one tiny piece at a time, testing each little bit as they go. And the part I find totally fascinating is this idea of treating development like a conversation. When you get an error, it's not a failure. It's just the software talking back to you, giving you feedback, telling you what it needs.
This right here, this mindset is just so important. The second you get something to work for you, your very next job is to become its biggest enemy. You have to actively try to break it, to find all the weak spots before your users do.
And that brings us to this really powerful motto. It's not enough for the software to just work on your machine. It has to be able to handle real-world use and even misuse. So yeah, you click every single button, you type in weird stuff, you grab a friend and get a fresh pair of eyes on it. Because at the end of the day, if it's not user-proof, it's just not done.
Okay, so you've built it, you've tested it, it's feeling pretty solid. But guess what? The journey is not over, not even close. Now you have to launch your creation out into the world and actually, nurture it.
Yeah, deployment is way more than just flipping a switch. It's the big moment, the grand reveal. You got to prepare for it, get all your documentation ready, and most importantly, you have to watch for surprises. because trust me, they are definitely going to happen. And that's when clear, honest communication with your users is everything.
And then, once it's out in the wild, it really does take on a life of its own. Your job totally shifts from being the creator to being more of a caretaker. Because here's the thing about great software. It's never really done. The author just nails it with this analogy. Maintenance is like gardening. Look, it doesn't have the big, flashy excitement of a launch day, but it is every bit as essential. You're in there constantly, pulling weeds, watering, pruning, all to keep the software healthy and growing strong. And this isn't just about reacting to problems and fixing what's broken. It's about proactively listening to your users, evolving the product, and keeping it secure. It's this constant cycle of care that makes sure your software doesn't just, survive, but that it actually keeps being valuable for a long, long time.
Okay, so after going through all of that, let's bring it all home. Why does any of this matter to you? Why isn't the SDLC just another boring checklist for big companies?
Plain and simple, because it works. The author discovered that by following this kind of structure, even in a really personal, flexible way, you get real, tangible benefits. You save time because you planned ahead. You save money because you caught mistakes early. And you save yourself a massive amount of frustration by just having a clear path to follow.
And honestly, this might be the most important takeaway of all. This is not some rigid thing that only works for giant corporations with armies of developers. It's a guide, a flexible, scalable guide that works for anyone building anything, even if you're a solo developer just working on a project on the weekends. So the final piece of advice is this. Completely reframe how you think about the SDLC. It's not a set of rules meant to tie you down. It's a companion. It's a guide that you can and should adapt to fit your own style, your specific project, and whatever your goals are. At the end of the day, it gives you just enough structure to let your creativity fly, and the clarity you need to turn that vision in your head into something real. So I guess the only question left to ask is, what are you going to build with it?